when I was trying to chase my girlfriend, I invited her to this flat to have a look at my space and how I live. And so when she first came here, she actually opened the window and looked out of the window onto the street. And these windows are very old, it's very 60s. And she really enjoyed looking out of the window from here. And she also enjoyed my apartment.
This type of architecture, it encourages people to communicate to each other. And I think this tree is a great example of that. The tree is allowed to thrive on such an old building with such character that it almost becomes part of the building, and the building becomes part of the tree, and then relating to the community as well. I don't think this building should be torn down. It's part of Hong Kong's architectural history. It's probably built in the 60s. It has a lot of character to it. High ceilings, narrow staircases, interesting doors, post boxes, interesting shop on the ground floor. And the last time we went there, there's also a small structure there which is toilets on top of a building. I've never seen that before in Hong Kong. And I think it tells a story of how people used to live. This street, Temple Street, is relatively, first of all, it's a tourist spot, but also it has a lot of character. It's got a cafe which is 60 years old on it. It's also got very interesting shops and network of people that flow in and out of Temple Street. With these types of apartments, you know, things change. There's posters put up by the community outside the building. The letterboxes are all unique. There's stories in the staircases on the rooftops. Such a small building that people do talk to each other in the staircase, whereas I've experienced going into apartment lifts. There's no conversation. Everybody is awkward in that lift scenario. There's a good community spirit here. Not many buildings have been smashed and made way for high-rises. I think there's a lot of new towns in Hong Kong where a community is very superficially placed in an area. But here, it's happening quite naturally.
And sometimes she tells people that she fell in love with me because of my apartment. But I always remember her looking out the window when she first came here, not the apartment. So maybe she saw the tree before me. At least she saw something green.
This is a very interesting building. It's a Tong Lau apartment building with 5 floors and a rooftop, which was probably built in the 1960s. The rooftop has a lot of wild plants as well. On the 5th floor, the apartment is the floor is divided into 3 or 4 separate apartments, which are quite small, obviously. And Nepalese families live in there. So a mother with her baby. I think there's a few babies upstairs. There's my friend CP that I play football with. He's a chef. On the 4th floor is a film producer called Davina and her friend, and she works very late. She works away from Hong Kong. On the 3rd floor, myself. The landlord used to live here with his family. So this apartment used to have 9 people living here. Now it's just me. And on the 2nd floor, there's a man and his wife and their son. And they're quite mysterious. The wife doesn't like to talk. She gets a bit angry at me sometimes if I drop something on the floor. She hits the broom on the ceiling. But the most interesting floor is the 1st floor. And that's because it's a brothel. And it's a very unique type of brothel compared to the ones in Mongkok and Jordan. It services or accommodates relatively old men. So usually 50, 60, 70-year-old men are the clients. A lot of them, of the sex workers, are actually from mainland China. And I've met the pimp or the landlord. Unfortunately, a lot of people urinate on the staircase. They enter the brothel, they urinate. I think there's also taxi drivers that sleep downstairs on the ground floor, and they also urinate on the staircase. So this element of the staircase really annoys me. So I clean it roughly every 2 weeks or 1 month. I don't mind it because I get to meet the neighbours, and I meet a lot of sex workers, and they seem to really appreciate the fact that I clean the staircase. Sometimes they touch me and tap me on the shoulder or the leg and say, "Oh, in Mandarin, oh, you're very nice, such a good act or chore you're doing." You can see many birds hanging around there. It's quite common for maybe the bird's poo to have a seed inside. It's a very unique structure in Hong Kong. It's a public toilet, or maybe it's a toilet for the residents. The last time we went up there, we saw 6 toilets, 6 urinals, probably without a flushing system. So what happens to the urine? Perhaps it fertilized the tree. It became the soil for the tree. It could be the reason why the tree is doing so well. If for some reason this tree was removed, I think it will be very sad. I think it will show a lot of ignorance by whoever takes it down. Because this tree is actually functioning as a filter. It's cleaning up our city, it's reducing the carbon dioxide. I feel let down by whoever cut it, because occasionally I hear birds, and the birds are definitely coming from that tree. It's therapeutic. It has psychological value. It has environmental value. It has cultural value. It talks about what's underneath it, the buildings, the residents, the unique public toilets or rooftop toilets.